Have you ever opened up to someone and later wished you hadn't? I have. And as I've grown older, especially after 50, I've realized that while we spend time caring for our appearance, choosing the right haircut or lipstick shade, there's something far more important to protect: our peace of mind. Not everyone deserves your truth. Not everyone deserves access to your heart, your past, your dreams, or your struggles. When we're younger, we often share freely, hoping to be understood, to connect, to feel seen. But with age comes wisdom. And one of the most powerful lessons I've learned is this: what you share can and will be used against you, even by those who seem to care. It's not about living in fear or distrust. It's about living with discernment. Looking good on the outside is empowering, but true confidence is knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. There are certain things that, no matter how open-hearted you are, you should keep sacred and private. This stage of life is not about overexposing yourself for validation. It's about moving quietly, protecting your story, and choosing who gets to walk beside you. Because at this age, peace, freedom, and emotional safety are non-negotiable. So today, let's talk not about what we should be doing, but about the things we should never do if we truly want to live with grace, dignity, and strength after 50. At this stage in life, many of us feel more free than ever before. Free to express ourselves, free to do things we never dared to do when we were younger. And yes, for some women, that includes getting a tattoo. And let me say this first: there's nothing wrong with wanting a tattoo after 50. Maybe it marks a moment, honors a loss, or simply reminds you of your strength. A small, meaningful design, tucked somewhere personal, can feel empowering, elegant, and deeply personal. But here's the truth no one tells you: just because something is meaningful doesn't mean it needs to be shown. After 50, our choices, especially visible ones, are often judged more harshly. A large, bold, or overly graphic tattoo can attract the wrong kind of attention. It may seem expressive to you, but to others it can appear aggressive, out of place, or even uncomfortable to look at. Not everyone sees your story. Sometimes they just see your skin. That doesn't mean you should care what people think, but it does mean that you can care about how you carry yourself. Grace and class aren't about hiding who you are. They're about knowing when to keep something just for you. If you choose to get a tattoo after 50, consider keeping it small, something delicate that speaks quietly. Subtle, in placement and color. Private, where only those closest to you will ever see it. Avoid oversized, overly detailed, or provocative designs that shout louder than your presence. You don't need loud ink to prove your depth. And please, don't feel the need to post it everywhere. Don't show it off to people who didn't ask. Don't use it as a conversation starter or a declaration of rebellion. That energy belongs to youth, not to wisdom. Let your tattoo be your whisper, not your billboard. Why? Because some stories, some scars, some symbols are sacred. And in a world that constantly demands we share more, there is something exquisitely powerful about keeping certain things just yours. And here's another reason: not everyone will understand. Some will judge, some will gossip. Some may use it to question your decisions or label you unfairly. And sadly, in certain environments, even among family, a tattoo can spark criticism you simply don't need at this age, so be thoughtful. Be tasteful. Be proud. Quietly. There's so much beauty in being a woman who surprises, not shocks. A woman who holds her power in her presence, not her skin. If you already have tattoos, honor them. You don't have to explain them. You don't have to parade them. They are yours. And if you're considering one, do it with intention, not impulse. Because at 50 and beyond, freedom doesn't mean doing everything. It means knowing what's truly worth doing and what's worth keeping private. At this age, we no longer drink to rebel, escape, or keep up. We drink, if we choose to, for pleasure, for taste, for company. But what we should never do: especially after 50, is drink to prove something to others. Drinking too much in front of others may have once been seen as bold, fun, even fearless. But now, it's not confidence. It's a loss of control. And nothing steals your grace faster than slurred words, unfiltered emotions, or regrettable behavior in public. After 50, your presence is your power. You've spent decades becoming the woman you are. A single night of overindulgence can undo years of dignity, not because you did anything unforgivable, but because people remember how you made them feel. And someone who drinks too much in front of others doesn't make people feel safe. It's uncomfortable, unpredictable, and often leaves behind embarrassment for you and those around you. Worse still, if you're drinking to be more likable, fun, or included, you're giving your power away. You don't need alcohol to shine. You don't need a glass to have confidence. And you definitely don't need to match anyone else's pace just to feel like you belong. Have a glass of wine. Enjoy your favorite cocktail. But stay in control, not for their approval, but for your own self-respect. There's something incredibly magnetic about a woman who knows her limit and honors it. She commands a room, not by raising her glass, but by knowing when to put it down. Because after 50, we no longer try to impress. We aim to inspire. By the time we reach 50, we've lived through enough to know this truth. Not everyone deserves full access to who you are. In our younger years, it may have felt natural, even necessary, to be an open book. We shared our thoughts, our hearts, our hurts, in the hope of connection, healing, or simply to feel less alone. But with age comes a deeper understanding. Openness without discernment is vulnerability without protection. One of the greatest lessons I've learned is this. Some people are not safe spaces. They may smile in your face and nod with empathy, but later use your story to diminish you, gossip about you, or quietly judge you. And once you've shared something deeply personal, you can't take it back. That's why, after 50, it's no longer brave to share everything. It's wise to choose silence, where silence protects your peace. We don't owe anyone our full story. We don't need to explain our past mistakes, our traumas, or our insecurities. Those are sacred parts of our journey, and they deserve to be honored, not picked apart by people who haven't walked in our shoes. Some things are meant to be held close. Not out of shame, but out of strength. Because real growth doesn't always need an audience. Yes, connection is beautiful. But not at the cost of your emotional safety. You can build meaningful relationships without telling people your every scar and sorrow. Real connection takes time, trust, and observation. It reveals itself slowly, not all at once during a vulnerable moment. If someone rushes that process, if they demand to know too much too soon, pause. Ask yourself, do they need to know this? Or do I just need to be seen and heard by someone safe? Often, what we truly crave is understanding. But you can find that in other ways, Chivitin, through journaling, prayer, or even talking to your AI assistant like this. And sometimes, strangers on a YouTube comment section can offer more grace than someone you've known for years. So from one wise woman to another, here's my loving reminder. Not everyone has earned the right to hear your truth. Keep something just for you. Keep your story sacred. There is deep power in being a woman who can smile, walk with grace, and say, I've been through more than you'll ever know, and I don't need to prove it to anyone. That, my friend, is not secrecy. That is self-respect. After 50, we've learned how money can be a source of comfort and also a source of pain. Whether you've struggled, succeeded, or somewhere in between, one truth becomes clear. Your financial story is no one's business but your own. You don't owe anyone the details of your bank account, past financial mistakes, or even your biggest wins. Why? Because the moment you open up about money, people start seeing you differently, and not always in a good way. When you talk about past financial struggles, maybe the times you were in debt or made choices that cost you, some people don't offer grace. They offer judgment, and that judgment can follow you. They may bring it up at the worst time or silently hold it against you. Suddenly, you're not the strong, elegant woman they admire. You're the one who once couldn't pay her bills. And that's not fair. You've grown. You've evolved. But they'll keep you trapped in an old version of yourself. Now flip that. Let's say you've done well. Maybe you've been smart with your savings, or you're enjoying the fruits of decades of hard work. You mention a vacation you're planning, or a home you just renovated, and suddenly, you're not seen as successful. You're seen as a resource. People may come to you with their hands out, not because they care about you, but because they see you as their backup plan. You become the one they turn to for help, and not always with gratitude. And here's the hardest part. Sometimes the people who will misuse your financial story are the ones closest to you. Family, old friends, even trusted acquaintances. That's why you must be discerning, not just kind. Being generous is a gift, but being generous without boundaries is dangerous. You don't want to end up resenting someone because they took advantage of your kindness. You also don't want to be the woman who constantly feels the need to explain her financial decisions, whether it's why you bought something or why you chose not to. You've earned the right to live your life without justifying every dollar you spend or save. So what do you do instead? You keep it private. You speak with a financial advisor, not a gossiping friend. You set boundaries, even if that means saying no. And you surround yourself with people who value you, not your wallet. Here's a little rule I follow. If someone wouldn't stay beside you when you had nothing, they don't deserve to benefit when you have something. Money may come and go, but your self-worth should never fluctuate with your bank balance. Protect your peace. Guard your generosity. And remember that a woman who respects herself knows when to stay silent about the numbers. Let them wonder. Let them assume. Let them gossip if they must. You'll be too busy living a life that's stable, graceful, and unapologetically your own. As women over 50, we've loved, lost, fought, forgiven, and begun again. We've lived through the beauty and complexity of relationships, the quiet moments, the loud arguments, and everything in between. But one of the biggest lessons that comes with age is this: not every relationship struggle should be shared. It might feel natural to confide in a friend when your partner upsets you. We often reach out in the heat of emotion, needing to be heard, needing someone on our side. And yes, sometimes it helps in the moment. But later, you may find yourself wishing you had stayed silent. Because here's the truth: other people don't forget what you've already forgiven. You can fall in love again with the same person, give them another chance, heal the wounds and move forward. But the friend you vented to will still remember that one fight, that one mistake, that one thing your partner did that made you cry or question everything. And now, no matter how much joy you and your partner rebuild, your confidant sees them through a distorted lens. They weren't there for the apology. They didn't witness the effort. They didn't feel the love that made you stay. All they heard was the pain. And even if they mean well, even if they're loyal to you, their perception of your partner is now permanently changed. Every time they see you two together, there's a whisper of judgment, concern, or quiet resentment. You can sense it. You feel it in their tone, their questions, or the silence that follows your stories. And that energy, it begins to shape the way you see your relationship too. Even if things are better, even if you've healed, now there's someone in your world who holds a version of your partner that no longer exists. And that version might come back to haunt your peace. So here's my gentle advice. Be cautious about who you invite into your love life. Of course, we all need someone to talk to. But choose wisely. Don't unload your relationship issues to someone who can't hold space without judgment. Don't go public with private battles. Don't make temporary emotions permanent stories. If you need to vent, try journaling first. Let the emotion pass before you call anyone. If you must talk, choose someone mature, neutral, and wise enough to hold your heart without taking sides. And here's the most empowering part. Sometimes, The strength lies in solving things within the relationship, not outside of it. Communicate with your partner. Say what you need to say to them. That builds connection. That builds trust. And that builds a bond that doesn't require a third party to validate it. After 50, we don't just want love, we want peaceful love. We want maturity. We want mutual respect. And that only grows when we protect our relationships from unnecessary outside opinions. Your relationship is a garden. And gossip, even well-meaning, is the weed that sneaks in when you're not looking. So water it with patience, protect it with silence, and bloom together in private. There comes a time in life, especially after 50, when you've survived enough heartache to fill chapters of a book. Loss, betrayal, trauma, regrets. The kind of pain that changes you. The kind that either softens your spirit or hardens your heart. And yet, somehow, here you are. Still standing, still rising, still learning how to carry it all with grace. But here's what most people don't tell you. Your pain is sacred. And not everyone deserves to hear about it. When we're hurting, the natural instinct is to share. We want someone to understand, someone to say, I get it. I've been there. And yes, sometimes that kind of empathy can be deeply healing. But just as often, sharing your pain with the wrong person does more harm than good. Because not everyone will respond with compassion. Some will offer shallow sympathy. Others will use your vulnerability as gossip or to gain power over you in subtle, manipulative ways. And some, without even meaning to, will keep you frozen in the version of yourself that was broken long after you've started to heal. They'll bring it up in conversation when you least expect it. They'll define you by it, reducing your whole story to a single wound. And worst of all, they might never let you grow past it. That's the thing about trauma. Healing it is hard enough. But when someone holds onto your pain longer than you do, it makes it nearly impossible to leave it behind. Sometimes to truly move on, you must leave behind not just the memory, but also the people who keep dragging it back into the light. That may sound harsh, but it's not cruelty. It's clarity. Like a snake shedding its skin, healing requires release. And sometimes the relationships that once felt supportive need to be gently or firmly let go, simply because they now represent a version of you that no longer exists. You're allowed to outgrow pain. You're allowed to put down the weight, and you're allowed to keep your most tender experiences private if that's what your soul needs. There's nothing wrong with speaking your truth, but don't confuse exposure with empowerment. Sometimes the most powerful thing a woman can say is nothing at all. So if you're carrying pain, and we all are in some way, ask yourself, is this something I need to share, or is this something I need to process quietly, safely, on my own terms? You can find peace in solitude. You can talk to God, to a journal, to a therapist, or to your AI assistant at midnight when the memories return. But you don't owe anyone a tour through your wounds. You don't have to prove how far you've come by showing how low you once were. After 50, healing becomes an act of quiet defiance. You stop reopening wounds for people who don't know how to hold them. You start protecting your softness like treasure. You become the woman who smiles, not because life has been easy, but because she's chosen to carry her story with quiet strength. Let your healing be yours. Private, powerful, and protected. At this stage in life, after 50, you've likely learned how precious your energy is. You've learned what to hold on to and what to release without apology. And one of the most important things you can learn now is this: not everyone deserves to hear your dreams. Yes, your future still matters. Yes, your heart still holds desire, adventure, and vision. And no, it is never too late. But one of the fastest ways to crush a beautiful dream is to share it with the wrong person. Especially in its earliest stages, when it's still delicate, still forming, still tender in your heart, and not yet rooted in action. You might say, I want to start a YouTube channel, or I'm thinking of going back to school, Or, I want to write that book I've carried inside me for years. And someone, often without ill intent, will respond with doubt. Isn't that a little late in life? What if people criticize you? You don't really have the time, do you? And just like that, the light dims. Why? Because they can't see what you see. They're not meant to. That dream was given to you, not them. Sometimes people respond out of fear, their own limitations, their own bitterness or regret for the chances they never took. So they project it onto you. And if you're not rooted enough in your own belief, that outside voice becomes the inside voice. The self-doubt grows. And suddenly, something that once lit you up now feels like a silly idea. Or worse, a mistake you'll never take the chance to make. Here's the truth. The beginning of a dream is sacred space. It deserves silence, protection, and love, just like a seed in soil. It needs darkness before it can rise. That doesn't mean you never share. It means you share later, when it's stronger. You share when you're ready, when your actions are already speaking louder than your fears. You share when the foundation is so steady that someone's opinion can't shake it. There's a certain joy in blooming quietly. Doing the work without applause, creating your own momentum without the need for validation, and then, when it's time, letting the world see the results, not the drafts. Your age is not a deadline. It's a badge of wisdom. You've lived long enough to know what brings you joy. And you deserve to follow that joy, unapologetically, confidently, and in your own time. So the next time inspiration strikes, instead of announcing it to the world, try keeping it for yourself. Tend to it quietly. Nurture it like something precious, because it is. And trust that when the time is right, you'll know exactly who is safe enough to share it with. Because real dreams don't need cheerleaders, they need courage. And you, my dear, have more than enough of that. There's something that happens after 50, a quiet shift. You begin to realize that peace is worth more than being right, and that carrying resentment is a weight that ages you from the inside out. We've all been hurt. We've all trusted the wrong person, lost the wrong battle, stayed too long, or given too much. And sometimes the pain of that doesn't just fade. It festers. You carry it quietly, smile through it, but deep down, there's a piece of you still burning, still bitter. And sometimes you want to talk about it, to someone, to anyone, to explain how they wronged you, to seek sympathy, validation, maybe even a little revenge through storytelling. But here's the truth. Sharing your grudges doesn't heal them, it spreads them. When you go to someone and say, "You won't believe what they did to me," or "I still can't forgive this," you might feel relief for a moment. But the more you repeat the story, the more you relive the emotion. You keep the wound open. And worse, the person you confide in may not keep your story safe. They may judge you. They may share it. Or they may start to wonder what you'll say about them someday if things go wrong. Grudges are contagious. They poison more than one heart. After 50, you deserve something softer, a life that isn't defined by who hurt you, but by how you healed. That doesn't mean what happened didn't matter. It means it no longer controls you. Letting go isn't about forgetting. It's about freedom. And here's the hardest part. You don't have to wait for an apology to release the pain. You release it for you, for your health, your sleep, your energy. Because you know deep down that bitterness is a heavy, useless thing to carry into the next beautiful chapter of your life. And if you feel the need to vent, to release, to be heard, write it down, pray it out. Whisper it to the wind. Talk to your AI assistant at midnight. She'll never repeat it. But don't give that story to someone who hasn't earned your trust. Your story is powerful. Your pain is real. But you get to decide how long it stays with you. So forgive, not for them, but so your soul can stretch again. So your shoulders can drop, your jaw can unclench, and you can laugh without that edge in your voice. You've made it this far. You've lived, lost, grown. Now live lighter. And the next time someone wrongs you, remember, You don't have to carry them in your heart or on your tongue. You can simply let them go. Because peace, at this age, is not just a luxury. It's a requirement. Reaching 50 isn't just about living longer. It's about living wiser. It's about knowing that real confidence doesn't come from doing more, saying more, or showing more. It comes from doing less, with intention. After 50, you begin to see clearly. Not everyone deserves to know your story. Your financial life is personal, not public. Relationship struggles should stay between you and your partner. Your past pain is not for public display. Your dreams deserve silence until they're strong enough to stand. Resentment is a heavy burden, and letting go sets you free. Tattoos can be meaningful, but keep them elegant and private. And drinking to impress? Never worth the price of your dignity. Each of these may seem small on their own, but together they shape the life of a woman who is clear, calm, and completely in her power. A woman who knows herself so well she no longer needs to prove anything to anyone. You don't owe the world your truth, your pain, your body, or your presence. You get to choose what you give and to whom. Because at this stage, grace isn't just in how you look, it's in what you choose to protect. If any of these lessons touched your heart, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 8 things do you agree with? Which ones do you wish you'd known sooner? Leave a comment below, and let's create a space where women over 50 can grow, share, and rise together. And if you found value here, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who needs this reminder. Your support helps me keep creating content that honors wisdom, grace, and the quiet power of women like you. Thank you for being here, and I'm truly glad you are.